If you're married on December 31st of any given year, your tax filing is typically limited to filing with or without your spouse using either the married filing jointly or married filing separately filing status. But should you file your taxes with your spouse? In this video, I'm going to tell you 3 instances in which you may not want to file with your spouse, and we're starting right now. Welcome to Tax Chit Chat, the place where we talk all things tax all the time. A few weeks ago, I came across this article from The Balance on what to consider before filing your taxes separately from your spouse. What caught my eye was a picture where they laid out 6 reasons not to file with your spouse. Now, as a professional, there are really only 3 reasons that we consider lines in the sand, so to speak. Those are when you don't have spousal consent, when there is tax debt involved, and when spouses are separated or getting divorced. But before we go over those reasons, let's briefly go over why you might want to actually file with your spouse. In our experience, going married filing jointly, or MFJ, typically results in the lowest tax bill or the biggest refund. This is because the range of the tax brackets for MFJ are essentially double that of married filing separately, or MFS. Furthermore, when you go MFS, the IRS penalizes you by not allowing you to take certain credits like the Earned Income Credit, the Child and Dependent Care Credit, and most education-related credits. When combining just these 2 things, that's usually good enough reason for most married couples to want to file together. But then there's those 3 reasons we talked about. When you lack spousal consent. When you and your spouse file together, you are both responsible for that return. Oh, $370,000? Yeah, the IRS can come after both of you for it. So if one spouse is like, heck no, I ain't signing that return, well, I guess you won't be filing together. That's because both of you must sign the return when you file jointly. And if you're thinking about signing your spouse's name and not telling them, yeah, bad move, and we'd advise against doing that. Your spouse can have legal recourse with the IRS under the innocent spouse rules. Maybe we should do a video about that. When one spouse has tax debt. As I just mentioned, when you file a joint return, you are both responsible for it. This includes if there is a balance due. This is because the IRS considers both spouses jointly and severally liable. But what if your spouse had tax debt or unpaid child support before the marriage and you typically get refunds? Well, if you file together and your half of the return generates a refund, the IRS can take it and apply it to your spouse's old debt. How rude! While it's true that you can file the return using Form 8379 and the injured spouse provisions so the spouse owed the refund can get it, it's often much easier to just file the return MFS. When you're separating or getting divorced. So going back to that whole jointly and severally liable thing once again, let's say that you and your spouse filed a 2019 tax return where you owed $50,000. But when the pandemic hit in 2020, you realized that you all no longer liked each other and you filed for a divorce. Well, here it is, 2021, you're divorced and you're getting these letters from the IRS where they want you to pay the $50,000 because your spouse has, now run off to some far off land. Well, guess what? The IRS can and will come after you for that $50,000. So when we have clients where the horizon ain't looking too hot, we often tell them that they might want to file separately. That way, down the road, they're responsible for their debt and you are responsible for yours. Now, if you're recently married and aren't sure if filing with your newlywed spouse is the best thing, or you need a consult on some past tax filings that involve debt with your now ex-spouse, then feel free to reach out to us via the information in the description of this video. We'd be happy to chat with you about your situation, our services, and possibly assisting you. So friends, until we meet again, always remember to keep earning, keep learning, and just like that, this chat is adjourned.